Hi, and welcome to the Home Video Emporium. I'm your host, my name is Brendan, and with this series what I hope to accomplish is to catalog my entire collection of home video titles and determine which of these movies still belongs amongst my elite and esteemed collection and needs to be preserved for many years still to come, and which of these movies, unfortunately, may need to be purged so we can free up a little shelf space here. I unfortunately run out of room on my shelving for videos, and I'm still looking to add titles to the collection. And I'm kind of at that point right now where first I need to subtract a few before I can add some. The goal for our series is to get rid of about 30 to 50 movies by the end, and if nothing else, this is a great time and excuse to watch some movies I may not have seen in a while, and hopefully enjoy them all with you. Today's episode is 1996's Fargo from Joel and Ethan Coen, based on a true story. The film stars Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, Steve Buscemi, and Peter Stormare. This was the first Coen Brothers movies, as far as I can tell, as far as I can remember, I should say, that I did see. Growing up, I was aware of the Oscars. I didn't, it wasn't a kind of thing where I had to go out and see every single movie that was getting nominated for Oscars. I still don't do that. I still don't really care. There's plenty of movies that get nominated and win Oscars that I just don't care about. But I was always aware of it, and I knew that the majority of the movies that were winning and stuff, I didn't see. I definitely saw some of them, and I was always excited to see movies that that I had actually seen get nominated, even if they weren't win, and they didn't win anything. But with Fargo, came out the same year. You had The English Patient and Shine, and I do remember seeing the coming attractions for these on a lot of the VHSs. That I was watching at the time. I remember Fargo and Shine, especially Shine, the movie with Jeffrey Rush as a piano player with schizophrenia. That was on like every single movie I rented. It was just constantly seeing Shine over and over and over again. But Fargo was another one that, I really wasn't really sure what to make of it. But it wasn't one that obviously was very critically acclaimed, and it was one that actually people around my age had actually watched. It was a not a movie like Dances with Wolves, for example, that was winning Oscars, but not a lot of people in my age group were actually watching. Excuse me. And so this was a VHS rental. Not when it first came out. A little bit later, I think I was getting a little bit more into movies when I finally got around to watching it. Watching a lot more movies, not just whatever was in the new release section, but actually going back and wanting to see movies. I don't think this was still a new release. It might have been, but I don't think it was. And read on VHS. And it has a lot of the classic kind of film noir tropes in this. William H. Macy's character, Jerry Undergard, he really is this just sad, pathetic kind of character who finds himself in a bad situation before the movie even begins. He's in all this financial trouble due to some kind of fraud and embezzlement scam that we never even find out about. We don't know why he's in so much trouble in the beginning. But he's in a terrible situation, and he keeps making things worse and worse and worse. And you have, Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare's character, who are these just wild, kind of loose gun characters, loose cannon, who you're never sure what they're going to do. They're constantly just causing mischief and mayhem. And they're escalating the situation. Just every scene that they're in, they're also making things worse and worse, just by how they handle the situations and the violence and the violence that they're always enduring on the story. And then the movie isn't even that long. It's one of the shortest Coen Brothers movies we've covered so far. It's only around an hour, 40 minutes. And you're not introduced to Marge Gunderson, Frances McDormand's character, till a little after a half hour in. And she winds up playing a major role in the movie. And she's so wholesome, and she's very competent at her job. And you don't really see that too much in noirs. You do get some of the the good-hearted characters like that, but they don't really play that big of a role, or they're kind of our introduction to the story. It's something like The Killers, where it's the insurance salesman who's bringing us into the Burt Lancaster character, and we're seeing all the nefarious tales that he brought into. In the insurance salesman is just the the conduit to bring us into the story. So, and again, like we've talked about with Coen Brothers, it's a weird hodgepodge of different genres. It's a dark comedy, it's noir, and it's doing all this simultaneously. And there are some really good, thriller aspects as well when Buscemi and Stromier, they are confronted with the police officer, and they've got Jerry Lundegaard's wife tied up in the back, and it proceeds to a car chase. And it's done as good as any big budget kind of movie or any kind of really intense thriller, where you get this tremendous cinematography from Deakins, the car, the really quick turnaround with the car, a little bit of action in there, and the lights in the car, they vanish, and we pass by and you see them, the car is turned over on its side. The movie, it's very desaturated with colors. It's a lot of the white snow with the white sky, which makes things stand out. Like in that chase scene, the red tail lights, the person who runs away is wearing a red jacket that gets shot. And later on, when Steve Buscemi, when he's just gushing blood all over, that really stands out as well. We are lighting off more fireworks. I don't know why. Happy whatever. We're lighting off fireworks. So I think, I don't know, maybe most of the people out there, this was my introduction to the Coen Brothers, and it really set the tone. You never know what you're going to expect with them. It's going to be silly. It's going to be serious. It's going to be violent. What the heck is going on? And you're never going to know what to expect next. My goodness. The DVD here. This it was one of the first DVDs I got. I didn't get a DVD player until early 2001, and this one I picked it up just at Walmart, I believe, 2001, 2002, around there. And some of the special features. There's a Minnesota Nice documentary that highlights the area of Minnesota that the film was set. It's where the Joel and Ethan grew up. It kind of talks about how they did the different dialogue. You get a lot of retrospective interviews with the cast. Buscemi is the only one he's interviewed on set. They don't go back later and interview him for whatever reason. But William H. Macy talks about how this was a major role in his career. He first he auditioned for Frances McDormand's kind of deputy, and he was just going to play a much minor role. But Joel and Ethan saw something in him, and they offered him and they said, "Do you want to audition for Jerry?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "You betcha." And he auditioned, and then he auditioned the next day, and then he just kept following the Coens, and he kept auditioning until he eventually got the role. Frances McDormand, she talked about how at that time in her career she was looking to play whores or murderers, and wasn't really thrilled of this really wholesome kind of sheriff. But I guess Joel and Ethan kind of talked her into it, and it benefited her career. She was already an acclaimed actress at this time. She was an Oscar nominee, but this actually did win her first of 3 Oscars. And they talk about what it was like working with the Coens. Stromier talks about the story that I mentioned on Miller's Crossing, where he was first approached for a role in Miller's Crossing. He was unable to do it because he was still tied to the Stockholm Shakespeare Festival, and later he was doing a play in New York with Frances McDormand, and that's when the Coens came to see Frances in it, and they saw him and they offered him again and said, "If we offer you this, will you take it?" And he did, and that was that. 1 second. There's also a clip from the Charlie Rose show where he interviews Joel Ethan and Frances McDormand. He seems he has all his info on the Coens, but it doesn't seem like he did a lot of research on Frances McDormand. The first question he asks her is, were you a fan of the Coens movies before you started working with them? And she says, I was in their first movie. We all started at exactly the same time. And he asks her like different variations on this question throughout it. And she keeps having to repeat, no, like our first movie, all 3 of us, it was together, it was Blood Simple. That was my first movie as an actress. It was their first movies, writing and directing. So not a lot of professionalism there by Charlie Rose. He does bring up the story that I mentioned, during Raising Arizona about Nicolas Cage. and some of the factors which led to Nicolas Cage not working so much with the Coens, mainly that he had all these different ideas, all these different kind of crazy strategies and different techniques he wanted to employ, where Joel pretty much explains that they had to limit Nicolas Cage, where some other actors they kind of have to encourage, but with Nick Cage it's more limiting. And I guess Nicolas Cage likes working with directors who kind of want to just helping him expand some of his kind of craziness. And there's also a coming attraction for the Blue Velvet DVD on this, which is cool. They're both from MGM, and that'd be a heck of a good double feature, Fargo and Blue Velvet. But again, I think this is it's excellently written. I think it's so weird. Again, all of the dialogue has such a weird rhythm to it. And William H. Macy, he explains that all his dialogue was actually written, all the weird where he's talking over himself and he's stumbling all over his words. That was written, and he played it just as it was on the script. And Stromier even says that in the beginning where he's asking for Pancake's house, he originally thought it was just Pancake House, but Ethan had to correct him, say no, it is Pancakes. And again, in the next movie we're going to talk about, Stromier is also eating pancakes. So a big theme for his characters in these Coen movies, they all seem to eat pancakes together. But yeah, this was it was a pretty big movie for independent films. It was a much smaller budget than a lot of the movies that were winning Oscars, like Braveheart or Unforgiven. This was kind of like, it didn't win Best Picture or anything, or Best Director. That went to like English Patient. But it really was a kind of a breakthrough for independent movies in the mid-90s there, and really for all the actors involved. William H. Macy, he went from kind of a bit part where he was getting a lot of uncredited roles to kind of playing a lot of just pathetic sleazeball characters, which he has been doing ever since. But right after this, he started working with Paul Thomas Anderson. He was in that awful Gus Van Sant Psycho remake, so not all good. But yeah, it led to him. He's in a bunch of movies. He's had a very good career. And even Buscemi and Peter Stormare, they were reunited right after that in Armageddon. Michael Bay is actually a weird Coen Brothers fan, and he makes these crazy over-the-top movies. But he's always putting actors who work in Coen Brothers movies in his films. He put Francis McDormand and John Turturro in the Transformers things. But yeah, in Armageddon, which came out like right after this, Buscemi and Peter Stormare, they were right there. So right away you're seeing the effects of Fargo kind of rippling down. Everyone involved was much better off after having it. So what do you think about Fargo? I only saw the first season of the TV show with Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton. I thought it was pretty good, but I have not gone on to watch any of the subsequent seasons. I don't know if they're worth it or not. If they are, you let me know. But Fargo, yeah, was this your first Coen Brothers movie? If so, let me know. And how do you think it ranks amongst all their movies? They've done so much. And again, this is another kind of weird genre-bending, dark comedy, noir thriller that kind of doesn't really have its place in any real conventional movie structure, but just makes perfect sense here. So, we're going to keep going. We still have, I don't know how many more Coen Brothers movies to go, but we're going to all go through them together. So, until next time, be kind and rewind to each other. And remember, it's not a true home until home. It's not a true home without home video. Wow. Okay, and one of those nights. Good night.